sitting here thinking about letting go, letting go of pain, letting go of sorrow, of things I can't control. I think in many ways, I can talk about being with pain, being with suffering. But one of the most powerful things is letting go of those things, to permit yourself to acknowledge that the things outside of your control, the things that you feel, the sorrows you feel, past, things that are long past, things that are ongoing, but so distant, you can't control it. You can't possess it. You can't change it. It's powerlessness. But that's also the life experience that we have to go through to see someone suffering and to not say, I could change them, I can help them, I can fix them. There's no fixing. We can't do anything for another person. Not in the way we think, at least. And I think that that's what I'm coming to understand, that I'm learning to reconcile with. To look at relationships from your childhood with your siblings, with your parents, to hold them in your heart because you can no longer hold them in your arms. It's painful. But that's a life of what? Regret, pity. Where does it all end? Where does it all lead to? Really? It's time to let go. It's time to see things how they truly are. Time to see yourself as you truly are. There's no hero moment for another person. There's no saving another person. All you can do is love, either from afar or from near. Radical truth sets us free. Radical acceptance just gives us space. Space to see things as they are. There's nothing to do. Being here is enough. Seeing clearly is enough. And even if you can't see the reality, you can't figure out the solution. In every moment, there is clarity. Or maybe, perhaps, in every moment, clarity is within us. And we only need to see it. We only need to be clear in our hearts and in our minds. For me, I just don't want to see them struggle, especially alone, because I know that that's where they're at. They're alone. And their loneliness is painful to me. Maybe it's not real. Maybe they're not alone. Maybe they're not suffering. Maybe they're completely content. And what I'm really mourning is a relationship that sentimentally held value. It sentimentally carried me through periods when I didn't know who I was. It was my ground. But now, what does it mean? Something to think about. I don't know. Obviously, this is a meditation of sorts. Like just to sit, just to think about your own heartbreak in life, to think about the journey, loss, and maybe that's part of life is to experience loss and pain, but also see that there's joy and gain. And it all kind of makes you whole. Like, sure, relationships end, or your capacity to deal with them diminishes. But there's also something very real, something very, I don't know, just to deal with it. It's like caring. You want to care. You do care. You want to care and you want to continue to bring these people back into your life, in your heart. But whether you can't or it's would jeopardize in some way what you already have, maybe that's selfishness in some way. Like to think that I can't be associated with this person. Like, is it selfish? Is it just realistic? Like, that's gonna that's gonna endanger what I'm building, what I've got. Like, when does it? It's a hard one. It's the hard. Like, relationships are hard because I think in some ways, when you think about relationships and you think about people that you care about, when you see people in that light, they're ever changing, just like you're ever changing. Everyone changes in time. But to look at who we are as a constantly shifting, like, equation, you're just different in every moment and across time. You're you've you've changed, and that other person's changed, and the relative distance, it varies so widely. It's just I mean, it's a thought experiment, because the reality is, like, life goes on. It's sad, right? It's still sad. That doesn't mean it's not sad that you can't talk to your brother anymore, or your dad doesn't want to be a part of your life or your son's life. Like, these are all just circumstantial and still sad. It's, you're grieving, in a way, the loss of a relationship, and it just the potential for that. So it's not a sob story, right? It's just a meditation, just a thought experiment to think about the way we change and the way we grow, and how we're always a step away from remembering that experience, whether it's a trauma, whether it's loss. It's just a step away. But it's not now, in a lot of ways. Like, you let go of these things, but they're never gone. They can always be brought back in to your life, brought back into your comprehension. Then you get a phone call one day. Hey, how are you? Like, what does that bring up in your heart? Anger, for me. Anger. Disdain. Because even though, if I'm living on a higher plane of awareness, that can bring you right back down to the personality, right back down to the person who's, that little child just wants his dad, longs for the connection of brotherhood. And some people are robbed of those things, whether by many reasons, by many conditions. So it's important to reflect and to remember that we experience these things for some reason. And what's the reason in your life that these things have happened? What does it mean at the end of the day? Just something to think about. Nothing to suffer about, but just something to think about. How can we grow from these ruminations, from these contemplations about the past, about who we used to be? Very important. And ultimately, all of those changes and the relationships of the past are make us who we are. And I think that that's particularly important, just to recall this, the impact of a person or a time or a memory. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.